Everybody, we are back. It is Tape Don't Lie, favorite podcast, favorite channel, favorite everything. We are back. You guys already know what to do. Hit the subscribe button. Subscribe. Hit the like button if you like it. Hit the dislike button if you don't like it. Leave a comment if you like it. Leave a comment if you don't like it. Also, follow us on Twitter at the Mark John NFL for me, at Glen Rockney for Glen, and of course, pandasups.com, discount code TDL for 25% off. All right, guys. So we are back. Another Friday Night Live. We're going to be, of course, talking Raiders offseason, talking a little free agency as well. Just going over all of that. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the buzz at 6 with Ashton Jeanty, which has caused some crazy conversations. And then we're even going to have a debate on the one that's having a bigger conversation, which is T-Mac versus Ashton Jeanty at 6. We're going to talk about that and kind of go over some scenarios of offense and defense, either or. At 6, if this person's available, you can tell us that the person's not available. That's fine. But we're going to act like that person is available at that point in time. So that's what we're doing today. Glenn, how are you feeling, man? How are you feeling right now?
Good. I am kind of a boring offseason when you think about it. Like I just really you kind of expect more things to happen. I'm not as down on people, but I'm not as down on the team as a lot of people are that, expect these splash moves. But kind of interesting that they are sitting around with what looks like, I mean, there's debates on how much cap space they have. Some people say 59. Some people think it's going to be more, but it's around 50 million. And there's just not a whole lot to spend it on right now.
Yeah.
So I think they're a draft and develop team. I think they signed a lot of guys to 1-year deals that they hope to sign to longer deals. And then the guys like Kuntz, if he has a good first 6 games, that money can go quick. And I think that's how they want to do it. That's how Pete Carroll kind of did it in Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we're just going to have to trust the process.
Yeah, you gotta trust the process. It's been boring as hell, man. It
really has.
It is super boring. I mean, like this is like, we're the point that we don't even really have content to do free agency at this point. It's crazy. Like last year, we did a lot of free agency stuff, and I just felt like this year it's like I'm already done with it. I'm like, okay, hey, they allowed me to actually catch up on the draft, which I appreciate. Appreciate John Spytek for that because I was behind. He's allowed me to catch up. Appreciate you, John.
Yeah.
Give me some time because free agency just was so dead. I didn't have to watch. I watched 4 guys, maybe. We'll talk about who they signed and kind of talk about their offseason overall in a minute. But it was just so damn boring, bro. Like it has really been nothing, and it's kind of crazy. He said, drama-free summer for the first time in forever, though. For sure, I don't know.
It's not summer. It's not summer yet.
That might be a jinx.
Yeah, it's not summer yet, man. Yeah. Don't say that.
We are the Raiders, man. You got a lot of faith. You can put a lot of faith out there, man.
Pete's moving camp back to Napa, as what they said. So I'm wondering if there's something to that. Let's get you guys out of Vegas for the summer. No, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
No Dylan Lobby, EDM shows. None of that.
Yeah. Because last year when the trade came in, that shit was right on the beach, bro. Like if in California, like especially Newport Beach. I mean, all they do is go out there and go to bars and shit. So those players are out there just having a great time, chilling with the beach in California, man.
Yeah,
I guess. Go ahead.
Our coaching staff's old now, so it's wine country again. They're like everybody's 60 and up. They're Chip and Pete, and they're like, wine country sounds good.
Yeah, man. It has been just extremely boring. But I mean, is that a good thing? Sometimes because I was thinking last year when we had Christian Wilkins, we were super hyped about Christian Wilkins. We went live that same day, that Monday,
right.
Free agency. We were just so hyped about that, right? They finally got him, a player that can match Max Crosby. Man, how good is his defense going to be? I don't know. It feels different because you feel like you should be excited about something.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Maybe this might be a good thing.
Well, I mean that's the thing is I don't think they're having a bad offseason. It's just not. It's just you kind of want more, but also what do you really want? There's only one deal, really one player. I thought that I was like when it was Dre Greenlaw, also he goes to the Broncos, so that makes it hurt extra much, But like Greenlaw was the one I was like, just put him on this defense, and then that could be your splash, and it just didn't happen. I think you guys are underselling. I watched your guys' Landon Roberts breakdown. You guys are underselling Christian Ellis. I better get a film breakdown if he comes in. I'm making sure that happens. I'm not. Give me the film. Send me the film, guys. I'll just let you guys know. I won't be expertise. That guy can
play. I'll check him out. I'm sure if Matt checks him out, he likes it. He'll do it.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I've liked every move they've made, except for Darnay Holmes coming back. But that's not really something you're like. It's not going to ruin an offseason, And I've liked everything they've done. I think the numbers have been smart, and it's just not that good of a free agent class, and they didn't spend just to spend. So the problem is that, you're picking at 6 and you have like 9 picks, and Pete Carroll teams, a lot of that stuff gets built on day 2, day 3 of the draft. They find these steals. So I get that, but you're kind of like, man, there's just a few more kind of 1-year, 2-year deals around there to just kind of get some depth on this team. Just some. I'm a little nervous.
Yeah. See, so I looked at this offseason a couple of ways. I mean, yeah, they didn't spend a lot of free agency, right? And kind of going back and looking at some stuff Pete Carroll has done, he really doesn't spend a lot of free agency. If you go through Seattle's things, like there's like it's the most basic players that you could think of. And it's really not really huge signings that they like to do. What they like to do is build through the draft.
Right.
And that's what Pete Carroll does. I mean, that's what we're looking at. I think Raiders fans have to get used to this. He's going to try to build through the draft. He's going to trust his coaching is going to get the best out of some young player. Like he's been doing it for years. I mean, you can go back to some of these other players. I know a lot of people don't like, Jordan Brooks or guys like that, or guys recently. But like, he got the most out of Jordan Brooks. Jordan Brooks started playing pretty well for him. You got, I can never think of this guy's damn name. The cornerback that was like 6'4".
Byron Maxwell.
No. They just drafted him recently.
Oh, the Seattle you're talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, Tariq Woolen.
Yes, there you go. Yeah. There you go. Yeah, they just drafted him. They got him in the 5th round. You know what I'm saying? And he had like 7 interceptions as a rookie.
Yeah.
So that's their way of building this football team, and we got to get used to that. And then when you look at how many picks they have, they have 9 picks, right? They have 3 in the 6th round.
Yeah, they have three. Which again, if a 6th round pick with a Pete Carroll team and a very very scouting forward GM, like Spytech is a scout. What I mean? I don't think they're going to care about positional value. I don't think they're going to care about any of that stuff, to be honest. I think this is a scout team, front office, where if they like a guy, they take him. And I think there's going to be some guys that go a little earlier to the Raiders.
Yeah.
That people are going to go, what? But I think they're just going to be trusting their evaluations. And I just think that, that's why trading back from 6 makes more sense to me. But more and more with this offseason is just, I don't even love the top 10 this year. Like the top 10 itself. Yeah. I know it's a top heavy draft when people say the first 15, there's like 15 blue chip players, but I think they're on the lower end of blue chip. You know what I'm saying? Like, does that make sense to you? Like I think the blue chip players are not the blue chip players of other drafts. Like even they seem like, I feel like if I trade back and get a Jahdae Barron at 12 or something, get an extra 2nd round pick, I feel a lot better. If I do that, and then you just get more darts to throw at the board to find, that great late round player that they're looking for.
Yeah, for sure, dude. Oh damn, RP George Foreman. I guess George Foreman just passed.
He just passed. I was right before here. 76 years old. Yeah, rest in peace. One of the greats. I mean,
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
legend.
Yeah,
with the grill and
I used to have the grill. Please believe I had the grill, dude. When you have a bachelor pad, dude, the grill goes crazy.
I know, man. He basically set the world up for the air fryer, doc. I mean,
he really did. He really did.
You know what I'm saying? He changed the cooking game too. And Eddie was a legendary boxer. It's just a man of many trades.
It's crazy. Crazy. Rest in peace.
Sure. Rest in peace. All right. So let's start talking about this offseason here. Let's start with the guys they lost. Let's start there. Kind of just because it's the offseason is basically over. We're heading towards the draft or whatever.
Right.
Offseason is basically over at this point. You know what I mean? But they lost Spillane, Moreg, Hobbs,
Hobbs.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Who are, three guys that they thought about re-signing.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Did they lose anybody else that I could think of off the defense? Probably not. Just probably those are the three key guys, right?
Yeah, really. Yeah.
At least Gardner Minshew.
Divine Diablo.
I mean,
Yeah, hey, it was a starter for a while.
we all know he was leaving though. That was
Yeah,
that.
sure.
Marcus Epps, right? I knew Marcus Epps was leaving though.
Yeah.
I would say like those three guys were the up in the air ones, right? That everybody talked about. Who should we resign? Should we resign these three players? And they all left. They didn't resign one of them.
Right.
Not one. Right. Which was surprising to me. But what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it was Merrick's the one I wanted to keep, and I was actually even at the number he got, I would have said, yeah, let's do that, because then like maybe you still bring in a Jeremy Chin. Like I don't know, I felt like they could have done that. It's quite clear that they're kind of like day trading with this offseason where they're just shorting this offseason. You know what I mean? They're shorting. They're letting everybody else get into bad situations, in their opinion. Letting everybody else get into quote unquote bad contracts, bad situations, while they sit back and have freedom to either go next year, make a big trade this year if they do that, accumulate a bunch of draft picks and extend guys, on the team. So Spillane, I know a lot of fans loved Spillane. I was neutral on him. I wouldn't have done the contract that the Patriots did.
Nope.
I'm not. You try to find. I said this on Twitter, but it's the Raiders found Robert Spillane in a way that I think you should try to find the next Robert Spillane. Is find a guy from a good team that's played well in spurts and hasn't, it maybe just hasn't gotten the snaps that they need, and they want to go somewhere else in their mid to late 20s or something. And I think that's what they're going to try to do with this Christian Ellis guy. And then maybe they bring somebody else in or draft somebody. I think that can get replaced for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then with Hobbs is just not available enough for me to pay. I know the Packers kind of did a 1 year, but with 3 optional years on it.
Yeah.
I'm sure, but I think they're gonna. I think they're gonna draft a slot corner pretty early. Slot corner safety thing. I mean, the way the guys they're bringing in for top 30 visits suggests that they're really interested in attacking that position rather early. You would think so.
Yeah.
Again, not only Merrick's the one that really hurts.
Yeah. Them bringing back, them getting rid of Spillane didn't bother me at all. I mean, I think Spillane is just so hit or miss, and I know he played the run pretty well last year. Had some pretty good run games, playing the run, but also, there's times where he kind of just gets lost. You know what I mean? And you're not going to get that from Atlanta Roberts, right? Atlanta Roberts is never going to have a game where you're like, where is the great run defender that we were all looking for? You know what I mean? So that's not going to happen with him. And that's probably the best part, I would say, with, kind of replacing those two. But I think Moreg is going to be a missing piece just because he could play strong safety and free safety, so you can move him around. He's versatile. It's not going to work out really where, you could play. We'll talk about this guy's in a second, but like Jeremy Chin, you can't really do that with him too much. You can, but it's just not as, not as effective. But, this safety class is pretty legit. I mean, I've been watching a lot of these guys that I would take at least like 7 of them already. I'd take him. He'd be all right. I haven't watched a bad one yet. Let's just say that. But I know the values of where safeties go. So I just think that that's going to be their plan for that, anyways. But that's a big miss for me. But he got like 17 million, didn't he? Almost got like $20 million.
It's a lot. I mean, no, it's a lot. I get why they didn't. It would have been my one kind of like, whatever, do it. It would have been. That's how I would have felt about it. Young guy like that, and who knows? We might have a chance to bring him back in a couple of years. Like those type of guys, like either ball out under that contract or cut in like 2 years. And that's, I mean, again, like you said, I thought there was going to be a bigger splash because you kind of think when an older coach comes in, they're like, well, let's get a team right now, like a team of proven vets. Let's spend a little. But like you said, Spy Tech doesn't really do that. What Spytek did when they got in was they went and got a veteran quarterback and hit home runs in the draft is what they did, how they built that Bucs team and already had some talent there to throw to and on defense. Now, Pete Carroll's the same way. Like, it's moves that like nobody gets super excited about when they happen, but then 6 games into the year, they're like, how is this guy only available for $4 million? That's what they're banking on. And to be honest, it's easier to trust this staff than it is previous Raider staffs, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I do trust the process when I see a guy like Pete Carroll and a guy like John Spytek, who is a first-time GM, but like it's quite clear that a lot of the Jason Light stuff is rubbed off on him. So process-wise, I think I'm going to like what this is going to be, and I don't know if we're going to miss Trayvon Merrick if let's say even a guy like Thomas Harper, who they seem to really like. And he played 1 year at Notre Dame. He was a transfer from Oklahoma State. I liked him at Notre Dame. I thought he went like a little bit later than I thought he would. I think he was a 7th round pick. And last year, I think he played pretty well. And they seem to really like Polamalu out. And if those guys are their guys, then and they perform that way, then we don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah. I was just looking at Christian Ellis while you were talking, and he's an interesting guy because he's like 26.
He can cover.
He can cover, right? And he's not a bad tackler. I mean, he struggled at the end of the year to tackle a little bit, but he's just interesting, right? Because you're right, because Robert Spillane was not really a starter when he came over, right? I wasn't that type of guy, and he really earned himself. Well, how much they give him? Like $12 million, like something like that.
Yeah,
Robert Spillane was not a $12 million linebacker.
Yeah, I think it was 13. Yeah, I think it was 13. So yeah,
you know what I mean. So he ended up getting that money, but like when you get a cheap guy like Christian Ellis, who is like basically a upstart linebacker, right? Because he wasn't playing too many snaps. He started playing most of his snaps at the end of the year, but he is a type of player like he could be on the rise where you can maybe hit on something. And they got a Landon in there too as well. So we'll see how this goes. But yeah, I mean, Nate Hobbs was one where it was going to be interesting to see how Pete Carroll felt about him because that position is very key to him.
Right.
That basically, that's why Gus Bradley drafted him, right? That's why he started year one, because he was Gus Bradley's vision of the slot position, the same philosophy that Pete Carroll has of the slot corner, right? So that vision, and that's where Witherspoon plays and that type of stuff. So that vision that Pete Carroll has of that position, and if he doesn't like Nate Hobbs there, I think that says something about Nate Hobbs more than it says really about the Raiders not really wanting him that much,
right?
Or wanting to work it out, because that's like his key position, right? And Nate Hobbs is supposed to be that guy, and Pete Carroll says I can find it somewhere else. So I think that was the most interesting decision to me, because I thought, like, okay, if Pete Carroll comes in, Nate Hobbs has to be a shoe-in, right? Or at some point, but I guess not.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about it too. And one thing I think they single-handedly got better at this offseason, like actually better. One, the quarterback position, which we seem to also that's weird, the whole press conference thing. So it just doesn't feel like he's here yet, even though he's like watching film on Instagram, like Raiders film. He's clearly a part of the team, but you're just like, it still feels like that part hasn't quite happened yet. And it happened before I think it was a tampering window thing. So it was just kind of before that, but they got better at tackling. That's what I really like about this. And I have a feeling like it could have been something as simple as Pete and John Spytek throwing the film on and just going like, we're going to pay these guys that can't tackle, because let's be real. They were awful at tackling last year. Yeah. I mean, they got a little better towards the end of when you started playing the Saints and the Jaguars, Arena League teams, like towards the end of the year, it was a little easier to make plays on defense. They were a bad open field tackling team last year and you're going to be going against the Chargers, who like to run the football and short passes, the Broncos, who are going to want to, dump the ball off and get yards after the catch. And then you have, the Chiefs, who like to dump the ball off and get yards after the catch. That's what you're going to have to do to win games in here. And they probably just said, like, look, we'd be fine if these guys were under contract on our team. We'd keep them. But to pay them all new deals when this is the film that they had, I don't know.
I agree. All right. Let's transition to the players that they actually brought in. Let's see if we got some questions here. How much would you guys think the Raiders won't fool us all
Yeah.
again and do the unpredictable.
What's the? I mean, I guess I don't know what the under. I guess it's like is that like the shocking send the scouts home Cleveland Farrell style pick, or
Yeah.
they don't necessarily mean unpredictable bad. I don't think. I
Yeah.
think they just mean like whoa, didn't see. Yeah, Jade Barron at 6. You know what I mean? Like something like that would be crazy. Now I think guys like Daniel Jeremiah, like they don't think it's that crazy. They don't think it's crazy, but the fans will be like, what? You know, but the guy can play and it fits. You know, and I think to me on the other side, Armand Membu at 6, that's not unthinkable. It's not unpredictable. But I could see what's the first year when Spytech was with Jason Light in Tampa, they go get Tom Brady, they go get Tristan Wirfs. You know, now they haven't extended Colton Miller yet, and DJ Glaze has a year of solid football under his belt, solid rookie year football. We don't. They've big upped, you know, DJ Glaze in the press conferences and stuff, but you need a swing tackle on this team right now. And if they were to do that and then say, we'll let Miller test free agency, you know, as he's getting closer to 30 at this point, and then you'd have a Membu on the team. Like the thing is, there's a lot of things this team can do that won't even piss me off. That's what kind of draft this is everybody's like kind of good to me, but there's just not a lot of guys that like floor you beyond like Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter and at times Cam Ward.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, man. You know, with them being unpredictable, because I'm just like looking at his draft picks like early on. I mean, these are all good picks, so I don't see anything they really could do unpredictable. And if I went to the Bucks and they're picking high, just like the guys you named, I just don't think there'd be anything unpredictable. Like is taking Bruce Irvin unpredictable? I mean, I think he played pretty well for them.
I think it was a reach at the time, but he played well for them and enough for the Raiders to pay him a lot of money.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, Earl Thomas at 14. I mean, it's just
great pick. Yeah. I mean,
that's a great pick, right? I mean, that's a Super Bowl pick.
Yeah, I remember that their weird picks were like LJ Collier. They were towards the end of the first when they were like a perennial playoff team. It was like LJ Collier, Jordan Brooks. I remember they got a little flack for that, but he's a solid player now. And you know, there's ones like that, but in like Tampa, it was mostly trenches almost every year. It felt like, you know, when Spytech was in Tampa, it felt like Wirfs, you know, and then on the other side, Vita Vea, all these guys, like just it felt. I think Joe Tryon, who doesn't seem to be working out very well in the league, but they were up front. So I just feel like the pick is either going to be secondary or like offense, defensive line. Like I just feel like that's what they're going to do. I don't know, but I'd like to trade back, to be honest, twice. You know, like for real. Like I'd like to trade back to 12 and then trade back to 18 or something. You know what I mean? Like and get a couple of picks because I just want that. I think the middle of the draft is where they're going to eat, and you can still come away with an Xavier Watts. You know, depending on where he goes. I think the league's going to love Xavier Watts. And he's going to go really high. People are going to like. I think he's going to go like top 20, and people are going to be like, "What the hell?" But you know, if you can take a guy like that, if you're getting a boatload of picks, you know, with it, I kind of think that should be their process. Now, is there anybody worth trading up for at 6? You know, there has to be a team willing to trade up for somebody at 6, but a team like the Niners, who's been gutted and they kind of need a game changer up front on either side of the ball, offense or deep, they might try to get Armand Membu as their next Trent Williams replacement. They might try to do that, you know, and then once you get back to 11, a team like the Bengals might want to try come up and get Tyler Warren or something, you know, like there's scenarios, and I'd like to explore those because I really just don't need them to sit at 6 and just, unless you see a Travis Hunter falling or an Abdul Carter, there's no need to just sit at 6 and pick Jeanty or McMillan.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna trade up, it'd probably be for Travis Hunter. That's probably it.
And I wouldn't trade it. To be honest, I wouldn't trade it for anybody, like because they have Geno Smith right now, so that's the reason I'm saying anybody. Obviously, with quarterback, you put logic aside and you trade up for your guy. Yeah. But I even Hunter, it's like, what you're going to trade up a future first round pick to get up to 2? I wouldn't do that.
That's 2. I mean, I'd be like, if he felt like the 4 or like even 5.
Yeah, true. Yeah, 4 or 5, and then you give up like a third round pick. Yeah, absolutely. Like I would do that, but
up to 2.
No, because otherwise, if Carter or Hunter is there at 5. Who's picking before the Raiders? Is it Jacksonville?
Jags, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So they might tell you screw off because they could use Travis Hunter. You know, but yeah, Abdul Carter. They might not necessarily want to draft this year. You know, but again, I don't know.
Didn't the Jags don't have a left tackle? Who's the Jags left tackle?
It's a good question. I can't name him, so it would be yeah. That's what I mean. I think Membu's going to go really high too.
Yeah.
So he could go to the Patriots at 4. It wouldn't be out of the question, you know.
Yeah.
The guy has good tape, good athleticism, and played big time SEC football. So
yeah, and I think the league might be higher on Will Campbell than we act like. So
maybe. I mean, you know, we'll see. But I would like to trade. I would like to just trade back. And I would take less to trade back. I don't need like a king's ransom. I just want picks. Because it's just not that year where there's quarterbacks sitting there. You know, I was thinking about that 2013 draft when the Raiders were sitting at 3 and they got a second round pick to move down 10 spots because someone wanted Deion Jordan. And they got DJ Hayden. Like, it was a second round pick. You imagine that nowadays? Like, that it does feel like that type of draft though, where it's like you're not going to get the 2 first round picks or the first and 2 second round picks just to move up in the top 10. I don't think you're going to get that.
Yeah. All right. What's the deal with Asante Samuel Jr.? Is he hurt or something?
It's got to be the injury. It's got to be the injury. Do you think this team likes guys like Asante Samuel? He's a small guy.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I mean, they signed Eric Stokes, and then they also like all the corners they looked at for the most part, besides like the Barons and the Will Johnsons, of course, right? They're all long arm guys, like Kobe Bryant from Kansas is the guy they did a visit with, and he has 31-inch arms, basically 32. And yeah, he's that type of guy. We brought in Eric Stokes. Eric Stokes is like basically the model of what Pete Carroll likes at corner. And you know, it would be hilarious if he gets the most out of Eric Stokes. That would be funny. I'm sorry.
It wouldn't shock me though. That's the thing. He's like, that's the good thing about all of this is that you're not doing this for Josh McDaniels. This isn't the offseason and like Josh McDaniels is the coach. Yeah. This is the offseason, and you know it's a guy who's gotten something out of, you know, Richard Sherman, day 3 pick, Byron Maxwell, undrafted, you know, guys like that. It's the list goes on and on. Cast-offs from another team. And like I said, they're it's going to be, I think it's just, the good thing is we don't know a thing. I don't think anybody was right about the offseason, which was nice, which means leaks aren't coming out of the building. The free agency thing was a little bit shocking, and I'm kind of glad.
Yeah. Let's go to the next question here. What we got here? You guys have any idea why they haven't done a Geno introduction coverage?
I have a theory about this. I have a theory what's happening with Geno's contract. So it's one of 2 things. There's a lot of people that are worried about. So the one that I see people floating around a lot is that they don't know what Geno probably. Some people think Geno is telling the Raiders, you don't draft a quarterback, or I'm not set. You know, don't draft a guy like to just sit behind me for, you know, a year or 2, or else I'm not signing an extension here. There's a lot of people floating that out, but I don't think that's what's happening. I think what's happening is Sam Darnold ruined the free agent quarterback market. He didn't get a lot of money. No, it really didn't. A lot of people were talking about Sam Darnold getting $40 million a year. He didn't get $40 million a year. So Geno reportedly, and this is reportedly, turned down a 40 to 45 a year, right, with the Seahawks. And maybe he just thought Sam Darnold, who's 7 years younger than him. Now, I think Geno Smith's a better quarterback than Sam Darnold right now.
Yeah.
But they're comparable in the market. And but Sam Darnold's also 7 years younger. So if you're the Raiders, you're going, why do I pay you more than Sam Darnold? You're 7 years older. You know, so I think there's actually a standoff happening right now. It's going to get resolved. 100%. It's going to get resolved. It's not about Shedeur Sanders at 6. It's not. That's what it's not about. I think it's Sam Darnold's market screwed up a lot of things. And to be honest, I think Geno's kicking himself that he didn't have an extension done while the tampering window thing was happening.
100%. I agree with you on all that, because I mean, that's the only reason he's waiting for that deal. That's why he hasn't came up there and spoke. I mean, he's happy to live with the Raiders. He's like, yeah, I just got to pay me too.
No, they say he's reaching out to everybody that joins the team. Like, he's real. Like, he's obvious. He's not like Aaron Rodgers. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not showing up. He definitely is. It's just that money thing. He's gonna probably have to take like a 36, 37 a year, which, you know, poor him. But you know, you're gonna have to take that much money, and I don't think it's gonna be a 5-year deal either. Like, he probably thought it was a 4 to 5 year deal. It's gonna be a 2 to 3 year deal, I think.
Yeah. Just, you know, give him like 60 guaranteed. That's what you're gonna get. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're 35. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean, you just got good too.
Yeah.
It's if you want to get paid again, man, and you want to have that conversation, then you got to take the Raiders to playoffs and win some playoff games.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's a Libra, man. So he's a beast.
Yeah.
We're 5 days apart from each other, like
Yeah,
to the
okay.
day,
Okay.
1990. Yeah, I was like,
All
I was
right.
looking that up. I was like, man, I love Geno now. I mean, he's the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
but yeah, I just think it's a market thing. I think Sam Darnold, because I was shocked when I saw Sam Darnold. What was it, like 3 years, 110 or something?
Yeah, 3, and but it's only 33 million a year or something.
Yeah. So again, if you're Geno, you're gonna have to take like 35 or 36. There's just no reason you're not gonna get that. Now everyone's pointing at that Dak Prescott deal, but they're like, we're not Jerry Jones. That's dumb. You know.
You know who also reset the market though too? Josh Allen.
He did, but you can easily tell Geno that he's not Josh Allen, or
But hear me out just a second, because because Dak Prescott did get paid $60 million, right?
Right.
But Josh Allen did this huge contract, but it only came out to like 55. So that's why I feel like that he really reset the market, because if Josh Allen got more than Dak Prescott, like, because Brock Purdy's like, oh, the 49ers is like, oh, well, Brock, do you deserve 60 if Josh Allen got 55?
Yeah. And they're probably waiting for Geno. The Niners are probably waiting for Geno to sign.
You know what I mean? Like, he really reset the market, in my opinion, because when I saw he only got 55 out of they like, up front that contract like crazy though, right? Mm-hmm. But when you saw the big number, you're like, oh my God, he got like 60 million just from the big number, and it ended up being 55. I was like, wow, Josh, you really just set because you are like number 2 quarterback. Right. Joe Burrow's right with you. Pat Mahomes is, he'll get close there at some point. So
yeah,
they brought the market back down $5 million, and that's when everything. And then Sam Darnold goes down, right? And then yeah, man. He just sorry, God.
And I think you wanted to be here. I think you wanted to be here to play for Pete Carroll. But again, there's a business. You have an agent. This is all probably an ugly conversation behind closed doors that we won't hear about. Hopefully. And I just think that's the only reason that this has to be the case. And they have him for a year. It's not like he's a free agent signing. They have him for a year under contract. And I mean, if you're the Raiders, you'd like to get it done. But if I'm John Spytek, he's been very frugal all offseason. Like, they really have. They didn't sign anybody to a bad contract this offseason. We can say that much. That's one mistake he didn't make. There was no Sean Smith. There was no, none of that happened this season. There were all the money. I was like, wow, that is, Jeremy Chan. Like, all I was like, wow, that is nothing. And I don't think they're going to be like, yeah, but we're going to pay Geno 50. They're going to be like, no, Geno, you're going to get 35, 36 million, a little bit more. We'll give you a little bit more than Sam Darnold. How about that? And what do you counter with that if you're Geno Smith and his agent? There's no leverage.
Yeah, exactly, bro. All right, is Abdul Carter dropping? I don't think so.
See what happens with the foot, right? So the foot's a thing. I kind of, if I were him, he should get the surgery. They said 6 to 8 weeks. I'm like, I don't think you move down that much. I think when you come into the league with a foot condition, you start doing the foot. Just get it fixed. People will wait.
Yeah.
And if he dropped to 6 with the Raiders, I'll be like, yeah, get it fixed. Like, get it fixed. Chill. You know what I mean? We come back when you're ready. We have 2 starting defensive ends.
Yeah. Because I was watching Kevin Walton for the Penn State, and he didn't play this year, so I had to watch 2023. And I was like, Abdul Carter could have been a first-round linebacker. So
I know. Which if you're Patrick Graham, you think about. You have times where you drop him back. And everybody's. If he drops to 6, you sprint the card in my opinion. The guy's a freak. He's just smart. He's a smart player with freakish athleticism.
Yeah. All right, let's get to a couple more questions. We'll talk about the free agents that came in. Raiders want to trade for. Is that set?
I did see that they reached out or inquired about Kenneth Walker on a trade. I don't know what Kenneth Walker's contract situation. I'd imagine he's in the last year of a rookie deal at this point. And he was a 2nd-round pick, I think.
Walker. What year was he drafted?
It had to have been at least 2 to 3 years ago that he got drafted in. He gets hurt a lot. He is banged up all the time. Guy can run though. I mean, to me, I'd rather be calling on like a Tyler Algier from Atlanta. Not that he's better. I just mean you get him and then you draft somebody and then you have a nice well-rounded backfield. You have a bruiser, you got a speed red zone guy in Mostert, and then you draft what you think is going to be a complete back.
Yeah, Kenneth Walker is 2023. So.
Oh, okay. So that was only his 2nd year in the league last year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is interesting. I don't know what the cost would be, but the guy can play. I mean, the guy can play. He just seems to have a Q next to his name all the time. Like he's always banged up, and he plays reckless. He's a reckless running back.
Yeah.
Always trying to bounce it outside. Always trying to make a crazy play, but he does make crazy plays.
Yeah.
I like J.K. Dobbins. I see BBW enjoy. J.K. Dobbins is another guy. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't mind bringing him in either. I don't know why he's unsigned right now. He had a great year last year.
Yeah. Is Eckenberg a starter?
Tommy Eichenberg. I don't think so. I think they're gonna. I think safety and linebacker are gonna get addressed multiple times in the draft. Multiple times in the draft.
As Jeanty ranked 3rd overall, is it because he's awesome? We're gonna get into that before we get into our like a little draft picks. We're gonna talk about that at 6. We're gonna have a little in-depth conversation about that.
Sure.
And then Jeanty first, and Harris in the second. Who's Harris?
Trey Harris out of Ole Miss. A lot of people like him. He was hurt last year, but he can play.
Yeah. See, with the wide receiver thing, like I don't think the Raiders are that desperate for a wide receiver. So
yeah, I actually think they like the room a little more. And to be honest, I'll tell you this right now. I see an Amari Cooper reunion happening. I feel like it's going to happen, and I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either.
Yeah.
Talk about Jeanty at 6. We're going to talk about that.
No one's going to be shocked. No one's going to be shocked. That feels like the favorite, like the betting favorite right now.
Yeah. All right. So last question, then we'll talk about who's signed on this team, and then we'll kind of get to the other topics. We get to these other topics here. Do you think we will run more 4-3 than nickel with Carroll, or no? It's going to be all nickel.
So they play it just 100% of the time, and that makes sense why you'd get a Jeremy Chin right in there, just to be like, oh, they're running, okay, we got a guy that can come up and play, and you have a Landon Roberts and guys like that. So I do see the vision if you're going to play a lot of nickel on first and second down when you have a Landon Roberts where you're just not caught off guard in the run game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Let's see. All right. So let's talk about who they brought in. We talked about Geno Smith a little bit. So they traded for Geno Smith, right? Geno Smith comes in. Landon Roberts. This Christian Ellis hasn't really signed yet. We'll see if the Patriots match.
That's Monday. We got
till Monday to talk about that one. Eric Stokes, Raheem Mostert, and I'm missing somebody. Jeremy Chin. So those 5, like, what were your thoughts on that? We'll talk about that real quick.
Yeah, and just real fast before that, I loved all the re-signings. I loved the Malcolm Kuntz 1-year tester deal. They were smart not to give him a big deal. I expect him to get it if he comes out hot in 2025 this year. Comes out hot, 5 sacks in 6 games or whatever. Looks good. A lot of pressures. They'll sign him right then and there to the big deal. I think they just want to see something real fast, see how the knee is. Mm-hmm. And then but as far as bringing these guys in, I like them. I like pretty much all of them. I mean, Landon Roberts definitely brings a degree of physicality that I think the Raiders had hitters, but they don't have sound tacklers that are hitters, and he's a guy that's very sound. Jeremy Chin is a fantastic tackler. That's one of the best tacklers that they've brought in a long time. That's something that travels in any scheme. So I think he's going to be great on this team. Mostert I like a lot. I think he's a red zone guy. Geno's big problem is the red zone. Raiders' big problem is the red zone. Raheem Mostert, the guy gets into the end zone. That's what he's done his whole career, is he gets in the end zone. So I like that. And obviously you don't need to, they're going to do more work at the position, I think, and build a running back room around him. Let's see, who am I missing? Eric Stokes. Again, I love flyers on former first-round picks, especially guys that did have a good rookie year. It's not like he's never played well. I was a little bummed they couldn't bring Chase on back. It looks like he wanted the opportunities that were going to come to him in the Patriots that the Raiders just simply couldn't give him. But I love doing that. These guys that clearly are athletic freaks, can play, have first-round talent, but just haven't put it together. Get him in a good coaching staff with a guy who's succeeded with his exact physical archetype. I actually really like that signing, even if he doesn't end up being a good player. I think it's good process.
Yeah. Of course, Geno Smith, I really like that trade. I start there. I really like that trade. Just because it makes the Raiders legitimate. I just know that we're ready to compete this year. That's all I know. We don't know. Do they compete to 11-6?
Right.
Hey, yeah, maybe. They compete to 9-8? Sure. But I know they're going to compete. It's not really going to be a season where we feel like that maybe we can't win this game if Geno goes out there and plays really well. That's a way better feeling just as a fan, in my opinion. Like you can talk about whether Geno Smith is a superstar or if he's a top 10 quarterback, yeah, you have all those conversations you want. Yeah, I don't care. Raiders have a legit starting quarterback right now.
Yeah,
And I think that just changes a lot of things, right? It just makes more stability, more like in this, you could be more flexible where you don't have to, you know, go spend a whole bunch of money because you know you might have to play Aiden O'Connell if you can't get land the quarterback you want. It's one of those things where you could just kind of build around the foundation you have. And like I said, I mean, they have a young offensive line. They got the wide receivers. I believe Jacoby Myers had 1,000 yards. I mean, the Raiders, there was only four, like they were fourth with Bowers and Myers combined in yards in the league. It was like Jamar Chase and like some other guys that
right.
you would say that, T Higgins, whatever. Those guys are a little bit above them, but I mean, you have Jacoby Myers, who's had 1,000 yards last year. I mean, a lot of people don't talk about that. I mean, he didn't have anybody. You talk about Bowers and everybody throw the ball. Either Jacoby Myers, right, still had 1,000 yards. I thought Trey Tucker had a good year, kind of improving. You know, Michael Mayer is still there, and I know a lot of people thought he was going to be gone, but he's still there. And so they could add another pass catcher for sure, but I just don't know if that's a goal for them on offense. I think that's why I think this draft is going to be very defensive. And if they do bring I mean, the question is, in offense, what we know they're going to add is a running back, but they got Raheem Mostert coming in. So I think I just want to start there. The quarterback is the biggest part of this whole free agency. We can talk about all this other stuff, but Raiders have a legit quarterback. That's good. Yeah,
you think about it too. You have like it just feels so good to have a worst case scenario guy there. Like I know there's a lot of fans that are like, well, we still don't have our guy for the next 10 years, which hey, that's probably true with Geno Smith. I don't think he's going to play 10 years in a Raider uniform. Like I agree with that. That's a good thing. So I would bet against him doing that, but I think he can play another 3. I mean, he could play 4 to 5 years for the Raiders and play really good football. And a lot happens in the NFL in 4 to 5 years. I mean, these are like dog years sometimes. Guys jump teams all the time. So if they have stability at that position, which I think he's only gotten better, in my opinion. I think even last year, you look at the turnover numbers, you just saw a lot of hero ball being played by him and just being under pressure all the time. And with this young offensive line that I anticipate getting better, we'll see how Brendan Carroll is as an offensive line coach. I think the Raiders probably had the worst offensive line coach in the league last year. I mean, it was terrible, but the players were young, so they're a little bit more experienced now. And I agree with you. I think it's going to be a lot of defensive players. I think early they might touch the offensive side of the ball, but maybe they make a splash like Jeanty. Maybe it's another tackle, another offensive lineman in the top 10. But otherwise, I think they are ready to run it. With Myers, Tucker, Mayer, Bowers, and like I said, maybe they bring in an Amari Cooper. I can see something like that. He's just sitting there. I mean, him, Diggs, and all these guys, they don't have to sign right now. These guys can wait for a team post draft to be like, all right, we didn't get anybody. Do you want to be our wide receiver? I expect them to bring in one of those type of players.
Yeah.
To just not even have to address that position in the draft, because it's just. Again, it's just like the free agency year this year. We wanted them to make more moves for our dopamine hits, right?
Yeah.
There just weren't really that many moves to be made, to be honest. And at wide receiver, I feel the same way. It's like we kind of do need maybe 1 or 2 young guys in the room. But this draft class, there's not a lot of them that are just jumping off the screen to me. I like a Jaden Higgins, but again, do I have to have him on my team?
Yeah. You said why Amari though? Why not Lockett? I think they are going to bring in Tyler.
I think they're going to. Yeah, that's true. I just think Amari's an outside receiver. I think you're like, and look, they might start Trey Tucker at outside receiver. They might just say Trey Tucker's a monster. We know this guy's a beast. We have a quarterback that could get him that. But I just don't. I was just speaking on the outside receiver thing because people are talking about drafting McMillan early. Like he's going to play outside for the Raiders if they draft him.
Yeah, I think people sleep on Trey Tucker because he doesn't get the ball, but.
He's open a lot.
All I saw was Trey Tucker last year just burning a corner. Tyson Campbell was a good corner for the Jags, and he was eating him up the whole game. So, I think people just don't see it, but I see it on film. And if you're a film watcher, like if Chip Kelly's watching that and he's just watching this guy that's super strong and can't have press coverage against him, and he could just win deep too, and he could run a post route like crazy. Yeah, it's the whole play action mindset goes in your head. So that's why they're gonna like him, because you already got a guy who could take the top of a defense.
And you have a Geno Smith who has a cannon. I mean, they just didn't have a quarterback with a cannon last year. I mean, so you have a quarterback that can buy a little time and get that ball to him down the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be all about the offensive line this year, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Their growth. But
and can they run it? They couldn't run the ball last year. People just like forget about that a lot. It's just like they couldn't run the ball to save their life. They couldn't convert like a 3rd and 2 on the ground. They couldn't do anything like that. And if they can just be back to average at running the ball, that does so much for this team.
Yeah, man. But think about the other guys. I like Jeremy Chin. Jeremy Chin's a good player. He is a good player. So he's a good player. I mean, there's really nothing around it. Leonard Roberts, of course, you don't want to play in coverage, but he's a low-key great run defender, right? So he has a role. Stokes is a pure press guy. Like if I just played Eric Stokes in press, I would feel great. But if he has to play off coverage, it's going to be a little bit of a problem just because he's not athletic. I don't know. He's just a straight line, like track fast guy. But he has long arms and he's great in press coverage.
And can tackle.
It's weird. Yeah, and he can tackle. Yeah, he can tackle and he's great in press coverage. It's weird, but off coverage, he's like literally a liability.
Yeah.
So you just can't play press all the time. But if that's what you do with him, then you can make it happen,
And who's the DB coach? The DB coach of the Raiders right now?
Joe Woods.
Joe Woods. Pretty good track record with him. Maybe there's just something he sees. He's like, I can fix that, or at least get it to where it's not, as bad as you see it on film or something, or work with them and do a couple things, and maybe they just think they found like, nope, I know. I could imagine Pete Carroll and John Schneider had a very high grade on Eric Stokes, and they're probably like, I know. They probably talked to him. Maybe you could point back to an interview at the combine with them or something. Maybe I wouldn't be surprised if they did, and they were probably saying, I love this guy. Bring him in. $4 million in NFL money nowadays is nothing.
Exactly. All right, let's get back to these questions here, dude. Because we're talking about Ashton Jesse in a second. I'm getting to all these Ashton Jesse questions. What if Shedeur is there and the Steelers are winning the trade?
Yeah,
2 first-round picks in there.
Yeah. Of course.
Please.
No, I actually hope Shedeur falls to 6. They were always laughing at me in all the offseason when I said I don't want to take Shedeur and I'd rather pass on him and trade down. Everybody, Glenn, now we have Geno Smith. Everybody thinks it's a good idea. And you're right. They're correct. It's a good idea. Let the Steelers or whatever, you know what I mean? I mean, they're really the only team right now.
Yeah.
Because I think the Giants are kind of, even though they signed Winston today, the Giants are kind of forced to take him a little bit, I think. Like they kind of are. Sanders.
Yeah. Unless they get Aaron Rodgers, which I don't think they will.
I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going there, and then and I honestly think the Steelers will get Rodgers at the end of the day. But also, the crazy thing is like if the Giants like another quarter, if the Giants are like Jackson Dart 3rd overall, that would be the craziest thing. You know what I mean? If they're like, nope, this is my guy.
I think it's funny that Aaron Rodgers is making teams wait because it's Mercury retrograde. You're not supposed to sign contracts. So yeah,
that's a good point. I wonder if they like. I would just be honest. I'd be like, guys, you know me, you know what I believe in.
I bet that's what he's doing. He's like, I don't sign contracts till April 12th, guys. I can't.
Yeah.
So they just got to wait.
Ask your college daughters about it. It's a thing. It's Mercury retrograde.
Anyways, all right, here we go. Would you trade for Hendrickson?
No. I mean, because it's going to cost a lot, and that's a position. The big thing about this is they clearly like Tyree Wilson. I feel like, you know what I mean. Enough to like not add some. I mean, we'll see what happens in the draft. Maybe they bring in competition for him at defensive end. But I was wondering that I thought they would either hate him or love him. Now you look at those Pete Carroll architects; they're big guys at defensive end, and maybe they just want a year to just be like, let's see, because he made some plays last year. He looked like he had some flashes last year. Played, looked like he was a part of a good defense. I think they're going to try to keep working him in, but like they sneakily do have like some players at end. And I know a lot of people are talking about Andre Carter and then the international guy, Agoha or something. They have those guys that I think they're going to start kind of being in training camp and seeing if they can maybe make this roster. Yeah, Hendrickson. I mean, that's I don't make that splash there. I try to trade for like Dexter Lawrence if I'm gonna go crazy.
Yeah, Dexter Lawrence, man, sexy Dexy, Christian Wilkins. on the
I'm just
same
saying.
team, teams
That's what I'm
would be
saying.
able to survive.
That's what I'm saying. Like that's if I'm gonna be like, let me do something foolish right now. Or not foolish, but like kind of reckless. Let me splurge. The like drunk purchase. My
Yeah.
drunk purchase, like where you look at you check your checking account the next day. I'd be like Dexter Lawrence. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd probably go better than the Raiders Super Bowl if they traded for
I mean, I'll tell you what.
if those guys are healthy, yo.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what I'm. And then you have Adam Butler rotating it. Like this is nasty. That's what I would do. Is a Dexter Lawrence thing.
We'd have to name that shit, bro. We have to have him come up with the name and shit like it's the 70s.
Yeah.
All right. Do you think positional value in the draft is BS?
To an extent, yes. To an extent, yes. I think good players are good players. The only thing I think I do think it used to be a thing about running backs and running backs only, and then they made it about safeties. They made it about all these things. Running backs, it's just tough that you get when your first round pick, especially in the top 10, you expect your guy to be there for 10 years. It's really tough to have a running back on your team for 10 years. It just is. That's the only time I factor that in. Now, if you just think if you're picking later in the first round, you're like, I need 5 years of just juice back there. It's not that bad, but top 10 pick on a running back is like, I do think about positional value, but slot corner, guard, I don't care. If you find elite talent, go get it.
Yeah. All right. Is Kenneth Walker a fair comp for Jeanty? My comp for Jeanty is actually Marshawn Lynch. So
I like MJD kind of. Maurice Jones-Drew. Yeah, Maurice Jones-Drew.
I think he runs like Marshawn.
Mm-hmm.
I know Marshawn really likes him. I think there's a reason.
Yeah, I mean the guy's good. I mean, I'm not lying. The guy's good.
Do you think Pete would like the Cameron Richardson skill set?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know what's funny about that? If you look up Eric Stokes on mock draftable, Cameron Richardson pops up. So
look at their cornerback room right now. Decorian Bennett is like kind of not the archetype for what they are, but they're going to give him a chance to for sure win the job. But guys that we're not necessarily super high on, but Sam Webb, big, long, fast. The Cameron Richardson, big, long, fast. Jack Jones, it has ball production and stuff. So I think they're going to try a year of Jack Jones, see what they can do, see if they can kind of erase the disappointment of last year. Their cornerback room, I have a feeling Pete's like, nah, I got this. I love our cornerback room.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Yeah.
I mean, does it say get the most out of the Cameron Richardson too? I don't know.
Webb. No, I'm saying like Sam Webb starts playing like good, meaningful snaps. You just never know. Pete Carroll, you don't know. Like you truly don't know.
It's open competition too. You know what I mean?
Because people were saying like he was, people were calling Pete like not a liar, but remember his press conference, he's like, we need all our free agents back. We need all these guys. He said that. But, for me, that was coach speak. The guy's been around forever. But also, some people were like, I thought Pete really liked the roster. I'm like, I think he does. He just likes like Isaiah Polamau, and like DeCamerion Richardson. I bet you he likes those guys. Like, he's like, no, I like this roster. There's some lame starters on this team, like get them out of here. They can't tackle.
Yeah. Jacorian Bennett has 32-inch arms, actually.
That is crazy. That is crazy. Because he's what, like 5'10"? He's like 5'10".
He's 5'11". Yeah, he's 5'11", okay. 188. Yeah.
No, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan. I mean, their secondary went to absolute hell when he got hurt last year.
Yeah. He's that's pretty big time right there. All right, so I'll get the rest of these questions in a second. But let's talk about Ashton Jeanty at 6, and then we'll do the little either or game we're doing here. So Ashton Jeanty at 6 is a big topic, right? I mean, he literally every mock draft I saw this week. I guess the Jordan Schultz from Bleacher Report said the Raiders are in him. So it's literally every mock draft from Mel Kiper, Daniel Jeremiah, 33rd Team, PFF, Draft Network, CB. Like it was Ashton Jeanty at 6. So what are your thoughts on this, Glenn? This buzz for Ashton Jeanty at 6? Even Vinny got mad at me because I told him I'd take Mason Graham over Ashton Jeanty. He got mad at me at the radio. He's like, I disagree with that. I was like, mad, but
I think a lot of Raider fans will agree with what I'm going to say. Jeanty is very good. I think he's a top 5 player in this class. If they took him, I'd be a little like, like this is what we're doing. But then I could also see him having 10 to 12 touchdowns his rookie year. And, say Jackson running behind Jackson Powers Johnson, and, Jordan Meredith and all and in a good run blocking scheme with Chip Kelly, I'd be like, the guy's probably going to have like 1,300 yards his rookie year. And you're just going to be like, wow, that was a good pick. You know, after it's a move you regret a little bit later if you know you passed on, you know, if Mason Graham is like really good, you know, and you're just like, damn, they have a 10-year just like nightmare on the interior, or if Will Johnson's really good. McMillan's interesting, right? Because I don't think McMillan's a better football player than Ashton Jeanty, but also he's 6'5", runs a 4.5. I don't think the separation stuff's that big of a deal because separations for guys that are 6'2", in my opinion. When you're 6'5", I know how you make your money. You know, you go, Calvin Johnson was the only guy that was getting separation at 6'5". Julio Jones at 6'4". Those are the guys that get separation. It'd be a little bit of a reach, but I think that would also turn the Raiders into a basketball team on offense with a guy, and then a small guy like Trey Tucker that can get loose down the field. That would be really good. Jeanty is just like a lot of people would like it. Jersey sales would go crazy. I'd be just a little bit. I'd just be a little disappointed.
Yeah. So Ashton Jeanty, because I'm actually gonna do him for the show tomorrow. So I'm gonna do a little breakdown. I did a members video of him against Oregon too, and you know the thing with Jeanty is like he is extremely fast. Okay.
Yes,
Jeanty is very fast. Like I think that's not talked about enough. He hasn't ran his 40 time yet. I hope he does run a 40 here because he hasn't yet. He hasn't really done anything athletically yet. I don't think he did anything at the combine, right? So I really want to see his athletic profile before I even like fully be like, okay, at 6. Because if I'm taking a running back at 6, he better be an athletic freak too. Like, I mean, he better be like his vertical better be like 41 inches. His broad jump better be some crazy broad jump. He better run a 4.4, which I think he might because he is extremely fast. That dude can move. Okay. And you know, one thing I'm interested in with him and another is just off film, which, you know, Damien, I can't think of his last name right, but Damien from Bleacher Report, DP NFL on Twitter, he has this thing with Jeanty and he put it in my head that he can't make these jump cuts to holes. Like, let's say, you know, like a Bijan Robinson could like jump cutting from like one hole from like one gap to net go from A gap jump cut all the way to B gap jump cut. And he was like, when you're an NFL running back, like things like that matter. And then when I see it out on film a little bit, that he's a little stiff, right, in the hip area. And you know, you see it comes out against like Penn State and teams like that because those guys are faster. Like when you play Penn State, I thought he still did pretty well, but just how bad his offensive line was getting their ass.
They suck.
They were getting their ass kicked. Like just ass kicked, and he still was like breaking like 4 tackles and getting yards and stuff like that. So you saw how he's gonna be effective in the NFL in that game. To me, that was like the game. If you really want to look how Ashton Jeanty look in the NFL, that's the game to watch because he still has some great runs in there, but he just wasn't Superman like he does like when he plays like UNLV or something like that. He doesn't like Superman.
Yeah, because I mean, he tore up Oregon pretty good too.
Yeah,
you know, like so. You know, it's not. There's really nothing on his tape that's like where it's like I don't see it. Where I'm like, oh no, that's not going to work. Oh, that's not going to work. The problem is the class behind him is so good. The reason people are talking about McMillan at 6 is because they know that the depth of the class is not there this year. You know, that's the reason people are talking. I know some people are talking about Matthew Golden over him. I don't think Matthew Golden's better than McMillan personally. Just me. We'll see if they trade back. He could be an option, but I think McMillan is a playmaker. People just think he's like Laquan Treadwell. The people that hate him, I'm like, no, this guy's good. He's a good player. And his team. You want to talk about Jeanty's offensive line? Arizona was a disaster last year, and they were supposed to be good. I know you were pretty happy that they weren't very good, but you know, like they sucked. They were ass, and he still had a really good year. And to me, that's why I'm kind of like I'd take Membu over the 3 of them just to be like, this guy. I have a clear vision of what this guy is. Right. I start him off as my swing tackle. I let Miller walk in free agency. I have DJ Glaze and Armand Membu, hopefully, right? Maybe if I have to make a move, if Glaze isn't good, maybe I have to make a move at right tackle. But hopefully you have that set, and then you have those guys protecting Geno Smith, and you're like, and Jackson Powers Johnson on the interior, and you're like, whoa, I got an offensive line now. And then guess what? It doesn't matter who's running behind them, or not. It doesn't matter. But if you were to take Caleb Johnson round 2, or Travion Henderson, or what have you, I mean, it's a loaded class. That I see the vision more for it rather than Jeanty at 6. We want to set the league on fire.
Yeah. I don't. It's just I just gotta be honest. I have to see his athletic profile before I even really feel like really comfortable, because
With Jeanty?
that's what Jeanty. I want to see it. I mean, T-Mac, I guess we'll kind of get into that in a second, but I think their comparison, who do you take there? But Ashton Jeanty, I have to see that athletic profile. I can't, like, Saquon Barkley is crazy. He's 6 foot 233, 41-inch vert, 4'4", 40. Right. That is what I want to see for me to take a running back at 2. It's not really a film thing.
But also the team that took him at 2 is not reaping the benefits. That's the problem with a guy when you take the running back in the top 5. Everyone's like, well, Saquon's on another team right now. Like, that's what I mean. He's on another team that didn't take a running back at 2, built their team, and now you get like supercharged Saquon Barkley. Bijan Robinson is a very good running back. If you watch the Falcons, you're like, man, this guy's good. Jalen Carter, they could have taken Jalen Carter. I get it. So could have the Raiders. I'm not trying to go down that role. Everybody freaks out about that. I get it. I just mean, you see why. Like it's kind of one of those, like, you're chasing, like, you're like, I see a Hall of Famer out of this guy. Whereas, like, last year the Raiders let a guy like Brock Bowers fall to them. It's like, okay, this guy fell to me. I got to take him. This guy's untouchable. But at 6, you're just going like, I got to take this guy before anybody else gets him, even though there's like 10 other running backs in this class that could be starters.
Yeah.
If we're asking Hall of Fame, I just don't see that Jeanty is a Hall of Famer. I just don't watch his tape and go Hall of Famer.
Yeah. And like I said, I got to see this dude's athletic profile. He hasn't done anything athletically. That's what will really decide if the Raiders take him at 6 is his athletic profile. It's not really going to be the film. We can talk about the film and all that stuff, because I don't think he has top 10 running back film in like the Penn State game and stuff like that. I think he has like top 15 in like top 20 running back film. I don't think he has top 10 running back film. But what will put him in the top 10 is him being an athletic freak. And that's what's going to decide for him, in my opinion. So, because it's always a mixture. I'm not going to lie to you guys. We can talk about, because if Abdul Carter had 11 sacks, he wasn't an athletic freak that we all see on film, but he wouldn't be going ahead of some of these other guys that maybe might be better pass rushers. Like the dude from Boston College is probably a better pass rusher than Abdul Carter, but he's not the athletic freak that Abdul Carter is, right? I mean, that's the key to going top 10 is I need some high level athleticism. Like you're talking about Mimbu, right? He ran a 4.91. You know what I mean? At what, 300, however many pounds he ran?
Yeah.
It's those things that kind of set you apart, that puts you into the top 10. But you know what I'm saying? You have to take that into account, but that's my thing. That's my thing with it. But
yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah, and they're gonna cook his pro day time too. I see people talking about his pro day. That's Boise State. I'll tell you something about Boise State football, man. That town is the most depressing town in the world besides that gross blue football field. That town, you're going to have somebody say, hey, you're going to have some guy with a straw hat come out of a potato field and go like, I saw him run a 4.12. Yeah. He's incredible. So I just, to me, you watch it, to me, I don't see Hall of Famer. That's what I mean. Like, I don't see Hall of Famer when I watch it. I see good. People are saying his comp is LaDainian Tomlinson. Raider fans aren't old enough. That's what you're telling on yourself with your age there, because he was a nightmare. Jamal Charles, like these guys are like insanely good, and those are the guys you watch. LT's TCU tape, it's 10 times better than Jeanty's. It just is. I'm sorry, and that's why I'd get it. I think it would pay off immediately. And even if he is a Hall of Famer, are you keeping him for 3 contracts to where he's a Hall of Famer for your team? It doesn't always happen. Yeah.
And I just want to say, LT had a 40-inch vertical and a 4.4
he was
at 221 pounds.
Oh, real fast. I have a quick story about LaDainian Tomlinson. So my friend's dad coached at San Jose State. He was a defensive line coach. He used to let us kind of be water boys for the game sometimes, be down on the sideline. It was fun. They're, most of the time you're playing UTEP and stuff like that, but they're playing TCU, all right, during this time. I look up and I say, Coach, are we going to win today? He goes, you see that guy right there? And he points at this running back with the visor on. He goes, that guy's going to fuck us like that. And I'm like 11. He's like, that guy's going to fuck us like that. And I was like, what? He goes, his name is LaDamian. He didn't know how to say his name. He goes, LaDamian Tomlinson. He goes, and I can't fucking sleep at night until we get done with this game. And it was true. He went for like 237. It was crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like I said, it's not that I don't think Ashton Jeanty's gonna be I think he's gonna be a really good running back in the NFL. Like low key great. I mean, it's hard these days to say guys to be a Hall of Famer. I mean, you got to be Derrick Henry.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a tough
running backs being Hall of Famers is a stretch. You know what I mean? It really is. I mean, like how many guys are gonna reach 10,000 yards these days?
That's what I mean, dude. It's like and you kind of have to be to take a running back that high. That's where the positional value comes in for a running back. Is he a Hall of Famer? It's a really high. Like for a wide receiver, you need to be a very good, like just a really good wide receiver, and you can really produce for the team. Running back, you got to do everything. And the problem is running back. What if Jeanty's really good and it's just a hamstring, and he has like a hamstring problem? It's just there's so much stuff that goes wrong.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, some other questions, and then we get to our last segment here. How far is Will Johnson dropping, and is Jeanty Barron leapfrogging him in the draft? Yes, we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Aliki Fotu came for a visit.
I didn't know. Bring him in though. That they need that.
Yeah, I like that. Zach Frazier. I haven't got to that Zach Frazier yet, but that is I do see him. He's on my list to watch. Would you guys? Yes.
Absolutely. As of now, unless like I said, unless that Kenneth Walker thing has legs, I definitely would target running backs starting at 37, and then I would double dip with their 4th round pick, 5th round pick.
Yeah. No Kid Flash. You did not miss this talk about Jalen Moreau.
Oh, that's coming. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, people are gonna be. This is gonna be funny. It's gonna be funny when I do that one.
Whoa,
all right, let's do this. All right,
sound off in the comments. Sound off in the comments on the video and everything.
So today we're just gonna do a little basically either or. We're gonna do for the first 3 rounds, right? Because the 4th round I was starting to get stretched. I'm like, man, I haven't got to these guards yet. So we'll get the 4th round stuff and get closer to the draft when I start to get to these guards and stuff like that. So I think they're gonna draft a guard. Or even a tackle, but I think drafting tackles after the 3rd round is pointless in my opinion. But I mean, because every good tackle's every good right tackle, every good left tackle is like a 2nd round or 1st round pick.
Yeah, well, I agree.
So, but we're gonna do like an either or offense defense for pick 6, 37, and 68. All right,
we're on the clock and we're sweating. We don't know what to do.
All right, so here we go. So we got offensive, defensive choices here. We got Ashton Jeanty or Tatoria McMillan. If T-Mac, we'll just say that because I'm probably saying it wrong.
Yeah.
And Will Johnson or Jeanty Barron.
All right.
Let's start with offense. Let's go with offense. Give you
pick 6. I'm sitting there, and a bunch of guys have gone early, guys that I liked, and I'm sitting there, and it's Ashton Jeanty or McMillan. I take Tyroa McMillan, T-Mac. To me, I want to create, if I have the opportunity to create a basketball team on offense with a very accurate quarterback with a big arm like Geno Smith, I say do it, and maybe, you want a guy like Membu on offensive line. You want to make sure Geno's not under pressure. No, we're going to be able to let Geno throw some 50-50 balls, which he's very good at. A lot of Geno's best tape is throwing to DK Metcalf and McMillan. I mean, not running the same as DK Metcalf, but I think I take a chance on that physical specimen.
Yeah, I was gonna play devil's advocate, go Ashton Jeanty here, but actually, the more I think about it, like I wanted T Higgins, so I mean, there he is, right there. I mean, that's literally like his profile, in my opinion.
Yeah, T McHiggins,
T McHiggins, right? If I can't get T Higgins, I can just take this guy. Yeah, I mean, they're basically kind of the same skill set. Like you talk about, T Higgins is not the best route runner in the world either. He really isn't. He has some stiffness to him. He runs good routes, right? And there's certain routes he can run really well, but T. Higgins plays with one of the best back shoulder throwers in the league, and one of the best guys who always gives his wide receivers a chance. And I think Geno Smith has that ability too. So that's why I would go. When I just think about it a little bit more, like it's what the Raiders need, and with Geno Smith throwing him back shoulders and stuff like that. That's what I would do. I like that. I like that.
I'm telling you, man. Like, because you got it fits what they're trying to do, and then, like I said, you can even wait till second or third round and go get maybe a starting running back. Like after that, you can't. I don't see the starting receivers in the third round. That I do.
I don't. The receiver class is ugly. I mean, because the only receiver, is Marcus Golden. Really, I don't know if the Raiders would do that, but Travis Hunter is probably the best wide receiver in this draft. Which is
yeah. Like I said, if he's there at 6, I scrap everything and I get him, especially with Chip Kelly. Come on, dude.
Yeah. Travis Hunter. It's funny. Like he's actually. I feel like I don't know. I don't know if he could play both ways, but you just have to have a way to kind of decide.
Red zone, and like third down, I would bring him in every once in a while. Like third and gotta have it. Like I would absolutely bring in Travis Hunter on the field here and there.
All right. So the second part of this is gonna be the interesting debate here. Will Johnson or Jeanty Barron?
You go first.
All right. I would go Jeanty Barron.
Okay.
I think Jeanty Barron is better than Will Johnson.
Mm.
I think he's the best cornerback in this draft. Besides Travis, this is hard to me to say that. But to be honest, to be honest, like I gotta finish this. I'm gonna have to do some BD talking before I really go with this. But I like Barron a lot. I think because even when I was watching Makuba, who was Barron's the safety there, Barron just like made a play. Like every time I was watching it, he broke up a pass. Like he was breaking up a pass. Make a play. He makes tackles. You could play him in the slot. You could play him at middle linebacker. He played a little middle linebacker at Texas. He played free safety. He played outside corner. Like the dude's all over the field.
Right.
And he is so good. Right. I mean, there's this video of him tackling Cam Scatavo, right? And he just took him on one-on-one. And that's a corner, man. This is not like he was running over corners all year, not Jeanty Barron. He ain't running over him. And I think they would like Jeanty Barron over Will Johnson. Even they had them both in for a visit, so they both like both those guys, and they're probably going to decide between those two if they go corner or if they trade back. Because I think if they trade back, they're going to go Will Johnson or maybe even like Jihad Campbell or something like that. If they trade back.
Campbell's one of my trade back guys too, where I'm like, man, if they just trade back and get a couple picks or a pick or maybe even a couple, if they trade back with somebody like the Steel, like that's my dream is like Shedeur Sanders falls to 6 and somebody like the Steelers or even the Rams. People aren't talking about that, but somebody like an aggressive team like the Rams comes up and just like, we want to, after Stafford, we want to have Shedeur Sanders or something. Then I try to go get like a Jihad Campbell with the pick swap in the first. I'll play devil's advocate because I've been watching Jeanty Barron and he's awesome. But I will play devil's advocate. Will Johnson, big, strong, ball production, willing tackler. I know when he started getting injured, I noticed his tackling went down, which it seemed like that was affecting his tackling. But I think I trust him as a tackler. I think he fits the system really well. I think Pete Carroll might want to find a Richard Sherman. And Will Johnson is, I don't know if he's as fast, or at the same speed, I should say. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly because it's really tough to gauge that when you watch him because sometimes he looks really fast, sometimes he looks really slow. But 9 interceptions in college. I think he just fits this team really well. Again, this debate just makes me want to trade back even more. Like, I'm just like, man, neither of these guys at 6 are like, really, I mean, the real question is, who would you take Jeanty Barron over all of these guys?
I mean, me personally,
yeah. So if you have a chance between these 4, would you take Jeanty Barron?
This is a weird year for me because I don't feel bad for Johnson by taking the position. Like I don't want to be in his position in here because there's so many ways you can go with this pick. Like,
yeah.
Like to be honest, like if I went Jihad Campbell here. I don't think that would be crazy. I got watched him on film. Like, my man. Like, the defensive side of the ball in this draft is like why people say this draft is not good. But, like, Jihad Campbell is like taking him at linebacker, man, the Raiders would have a linebacker for like 10 years. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's things like that. And it's super interesting to me. This draft is going to be super interesting how it goes, because it's all going to be who the Raiders really like. Like, because Daniel Jeremiah, he's always closest to what the NFL likes. Just like, a lot of people didn't have Jonathan Abram going first round, but like Daniel Jeremiah did. And it's things like that. But man, it's, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know where the Raiders are going to go with this, because there's just so many ways they can go. They can go with Jeanty Barron. Like, if, like I said, Daniel Jeremiah has like G.I. Campbell like 7th.
He's board. Really good. I mean, he's
right?
Really good. When
so like, do the Raiders think G.I. Campbell is that good? I mean, Spy Take was from a place where they drafted Devin White, right? It's all these things start to fall through my head.
That's why I want to trade back. That's why I want to trade back so bad, because I feel like half the guys they really like will be there in a trade back. And I honestly think the Seahawks I think the Seahawks traded back here and there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Tampa liked to stay put. If I'm not, I could be wrong. I don't know. I think Tampa liked to kind of stay put, kind of almost Telesco style, and take what falls to them. But for the most part, like, I kind of feel like they're going to want to trade back and recoup some pay, especially just with how quiet of a free agency they had. And to me, if you can get to the Niners is who I'd like to trade with at 11, because I think you can get a second round pick from them. And get an extra second, because in the second there's so much stuff you can do. You can get Caleb Johnson plus Kevin Winston in the second round. Maybe we'll see, but the stuff like that you can do, that would make me so excited to take like Jeanty Barron, Caleb Johnson, Kevin Winston, right? With trading back, you'd be like, whoa, that's a damn good first 3 picks there in a draft that wasn't kind of an off year in the draft,
Yeah. Because like a lot of people were talking about, do the trade back with Graham. Like, yeah, you could take Mason Graham. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things they can do at 6, right?
Graham is the safest pick to me. Graham is like, you get him, I just feel just fine about that.
Safe as hell. G.I. Campbell is too. Like, if they took G.I. Campbell, like somebody asked me G.I. Campbell like that, like, yeah, if you took him at 6, I'd be very comfortable, to be honest. A lot of people would be like mad.
He can like pass rush. It's weird. If you watch him like in pass rush, you're like, wait, is this like Micah Parsons that I'm watching? Like, this is like, he kind of has that weird, like, with his hand in the ground, but then also off the ball, I think he plays damn good too. So, and they got room at both those spots if you want to do that. And that Mason Graham, I think everybody has a little prospect fatigue. We talk about that in the draft, prospect fatigue. Everybody's kind of seen so much of Mason Graham that they're like, yeah, but he's still very good. Yeah, and if they just draft him, I'll be like, that's fine. Go get Patrick Mahomes. That's the way you beat the Chiefs. Go do that.
Yeah. Patrick Graham is not Patrick Graham. Mason Graham. Mason Graham is safe as hell. That's the safest one. But like, also G.I. Campbell, I haven't even got to linebackers yet. I was watching Malachi Moore, and this guy just kept jumping off the damn screen, and I was like, who is that? Who is 11? And I looked at him like, oh, that's G.I. Campbell. And I actually started watching him a little bit because he literally was jumping off the screen. Like, it's crazy how fast he is as a linebacker.
I like the linebacker class a lot. I think the linebacker class is good, and I don't think it gets talked about enough. My guy Demetrius Knight, very good. I think he's a big time fit with the Raiders, and then also Schlesinger from Carson Schlesinger from UCLA. I like both those guys a lot. There's a lot they can do at linebacker, and I think that's what they're doing. And to me, I think people are saying who's going to trade up. I think if Sanders falls to 6, but like I said, I think if Membu, Mason Graham, there could be guys. I mean, you could have Mason Graham sitting there and trade down, and that would, even me, I'd be like, oh, really? But that's the guy that there's going to have to be somebody appealing there, to trade up for. And teams like the 49ers, teams like the Bengals that kind of had off years, but are still kind of built to contend. Those teams might see themselves as a player away in the first round. Those teams might come up.
Yeah. Oof. So as a BD, think Graham and Wilkins wouldn't be a great field.
Well, Wilkins plays the run. Wilkins does play the run, and if you bring in a Lecky Fotu as well, right? Like, if I hope they sign him. In fact, I do. Like, I hope they bring him in. You do still have an opportunity. Like, what's nice about that is if you had Graham, Wilkins, Kuntz, and Crosby, say you can play that in crunch time even if it's a 1-score game where the other team wants to run the ball still as part of their kind of 6-7 minute offense, and they want to be able to run the ball, but you also want to have your pass rush unit on the field. It functions as both because Wilkins plays the run well, Crosby plays the run well, Kuntz isn't half bad against the run either. And I don't know, I think Grams was pretty damn good against the run too. You wouldn't be able to run against that. Plus, with you wouldn't have a Landon Roberts back there, but you'd have Jeremy Chin. It'd be tough to run on that and pass on that unit.
Yeah, it would be tough, man, for sure. Here we go. All right, so let's go to 37 here, which is going to be interesting because I just added this in just to add a little fun to this. It's going to make this some a fun time here. So I'm actually, because I spelled somebody's name wrong, so I'm going to have to fix that real quick. We'll get the technical difficulties here. All right, here we go. So there's somebody doing the comments. He got mad at a little bit of getting names wrong. He's like, you have a podcast and you can't say a name. You can't say Devin Hache.
Yeah. Well, also, guy, when you watch tape, this is a tape podcast. Guys, look at the number on the jersey. By the way,
yeah, all I know is number. Yeah, all right. So I went defense. I went Xavier Watts or Derek Harmon.
I mean, you know where I'm picking.
And I mean, Ravion Henderson or Jalen Monroe.
You know where I'm picking, dude. I am going. First off, my answers and man, the offense one is tough for me. But the defensive one, Xavier Watts is a stud, man. I don't know how because he didn't do a lot at the combine, did he?
No, he didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything. I don't know how fast he is, but he's probably the smartest safety I've seen come out in a long time. He's smart. I mean, he just. You watch his Texas A&M game, which was a big game for Notre Dame at the beginning of the year. Big opener at College Station. Texas A&M was ranked high, and he was incredible that game. Made a big interception. He's just always in the right spot. I think he is. I mean, if you had Jeremy Chin and Xavier Watts, I'd be like, we're set. Those are my safeties. And Watts you can kind of move him around a little bit too. He likes to tackle. He likes to get, he likes to hit too. I like Derek Harmon. I just to me, Xavier Watts is just the better football player.
Yeah. I'm a huge Watts fan.
I mean,
I think I haven't seen a better safety than him in this draft. I don't know what people are doing. People like Yuri, and I get it, but yeah,
he's not good though. Like Yuri, like.
He is, but he just can't tackle, and he doesn't like to tackle as a safety. That's my thing.
Yeah, I just like you watch him. There was a guy who went like kind of viral for like hating on him, and I was like, yeah, but the clips he's showing are like bad. Like this guy, like I'm like that's a bad open field tackle attempt. Like, and you're the last line of defense. Like this guy, it's not even like he's just missing it. He's just not there half the time, and you're like, okay. Watts is going to be there, and he knows. I think Evan Warrior is a much better athlete than Watts, probably. But Watts has ball production. He, Starks is slightly better. Just in my opinion. But Watts, if you can get him at 37, that's better than picking Starks in the first round. I think Watts is going first round. That's my. Yeah. I think he is. But stranger things have happened than him falling to 37.
Yeah, because I even think like he can't tackle thing is a little overrated. I think that's because like you go through the film and like some of his missed tackles is I don't know.
Oh, he can tackle. Yeah, he can.
Like I don't know. I like Malachi Starks. Is just I don't know. It's just Xavier Watts is more instinctful than Malachi Starks, and he's more of a playmaker.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Malachi Starks, and he just is like so smart. Like that's what I look at it. And he could play coverage just as good as he can. Yeah, I know Yuri had 88 combined. I know he made tackles. I'm just saying he's a corner. I think Yuri is a corner. To be honest, I watch him like you're a corner, bro, because he don't like to tackle. It's not even about him tackling. Like you're a safety, bro. You have to like to tackle. It's like you're like a small linebacker. You're like the last line of defense for tackling, and he doesn't like it. Like he doesn't like you can like put your hands on him and just like drive him. Like he can't play in the box Ewing-Yori.
Mm-hmm.
But if I put Ewing-Yori outside a corner, I think I could make it work because can he cover people? Does he have instincts in coverage? Yes. But like Ewing-Yori is not a safety, in my opinion. Safeties, you just have to like to tackle. I think that's the difference between the corner and a safety. Is safeties like tackling? Like Xavier Watts he is in every single pile. Like every safety I talk about, we talk about here on this what we're talking about. It'll literally be a guy who likes to get in tackle. You know what I mean? They all get into the little mesh. What I don't even know what the piles, whatever I'm trying to say. But Ewing-Yori, he avoids them like he's a cornerback, like he's Nate Wiggins or something. So that's my thing with him. But yeah. But Derek Harmon's really good. I put Derek Harmon because when I was doing Ashton Jeanty, the member breakdown, he just was all over the damn film too, and I was making jokes.
He's a freak too. I mean, you look at his, I mean, what I don't know what he's came in. Is he like 310 or something? Like doing what he is like. No, again, if they took him if they took Derek Harmon at 37, I'm not mad. You know, like this, if that's the two picks, like if they're actually in the situation and they pick one of the two guys, I'm fine with either. Yeah. You know, like Watts, I think Watts is a special player, to be honest. And I'm biased. I'm very biased.
Yeah.
I'm a Golden Domer, but you know but it's their team. Look, they've been turning out good pros. That Notre Dame, Marcus Freeman turns out good pro players, especially on the defensive side. Like these guys come in and they play really well. Watch out for my boy Howard Cross late in the draft too. Watts, to me, it's Watts.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the controversial one because I see
tough one. This is a tough one. You go first because I'll argue the other side because I like both these guys, but I'll argue the other side.
If you go first, let's
yes.
Oh man, whew, this is gonna be tough for me, but okay, because I would go TreVeyon Henderson.
Oh,
okay. And the reason I would, because I just think if they don't take a running back early, they need just as much as they need a quarterback to play behind him, they need a starting running back. Like whatever you could say, like that's why the whole Ashton Jeanty thing makes sense,
right?
Because the Raiders do need a starting running back, man. It's a huge hole, and it could change this whole offense if they pick the right one. And I think he might be the guy that they're eyeing, and I think that's why I would go with TreVeyon Henderson here. Now, I put Jalen Monroe here because Jalen Monroe had the pro day of all pro days. And people aren't talking about it. Like, what they didn't, but you don't see it on Twitter a lot, besides him running that 4.37 or 4.4, whatever it ended up being, was him throwing during the pro day. Like, he had like a great throwing day at his pro day that people aren't talking about right now at this point. And that's why I feel like with the 4.37, the way he was at the Senior Bowl, how he got better every day, how he is a great kid, right? And people love him and his attitude. And he comes from Alabama with Nick Saban, and the pro day that he had, like I might be having him too low here. Like I think he might go before Jackson Dart, which is I think that whole thing might switch on people because he had a pro day of all pro days. Like people don't like to talk about that, and he threw the ball really well too at his pro day. Like he had this beautiful 60-yard throw there, and it's his pro day. It's supposed to be great. It's scripted. I mean, tell that Teddy Bridgewater. That's what I say.
He's a good high school coach. The guy's coaching high school ball right now and winning a lot of games. Yeah, shout out to Teddy.
Tell the Teddy Bridgewater. But yeah, he's supposed to look good, and he did. But I mean, even throwing the ball, like even last year, I think some of the pro days last year weren't that impressive. And those guys still went higher than they usually do. They had to miss some throws, and but Michael Penix, can we talk about this? This is why I think Jalen Monroe rises up here too, as well. Is Michael Penix had a crazy pro day too. Remember that, guys?
Oh, sure, yeah.
And where did he go? He went 8. Shocked the world.
Overall. Yeah, it's nuts.
We can talk about pro days. Oh, they matter to these guys. I don't care what they say or what they say in the media. It matters to somebody, and that's all it takes. You know what I mean? So
I guess I'm going Milroe. Now, I will say one thing about Travion Henderson is in pass protection. If you're blitzing, he will put you in a body bag, and I just love watching his pass protection. You should have seen when John Gruden had him in for film breakdown. I thought John Gruden was going to lose his mind. The Randy Marsh paint the room white, like he was doing that with Travion Henderson, and I have a hard time. I mean, the guy, people think he's not some complete running back. I think he is. I think he's really good. I think he's an every down running back and could play right away. Now, that being said, I'm passing on him for Jalen Milroe. Okay. Geno Smith, what's his contract, right? We don't know. We don't know what his contract's going to be. Now, to me, it's trending towards fewer years, fewer money right now. If you ask me, the longer this goes, the better it's going to be team-wise for the Raiders to pay him less. Now, if you have Jalen Milroe, the reason I think he's not going to go ahead of Dart is because I just think Milroe is going to take some time, all right? I think he's going to take a little bit of time. I think there's going to be a team that's going to go, well, I can start Jackson Dart soon. I don't think that's true. I don't think it's going to go well, but teams are going to do it, I guess. With Milroe, there's definitely just some things that intermediate routes that he's going to have to work on. And I would love to get him in this system with Chip Kelly. You could even phase him in on some short yardage situations. You can get a little creative with him in a Justin Fields kind of Taysom Hill kind of way early. And red zone, if you're struggling in the red zone. To me, I think Milroe, like you said, the way he interviews the guy, I mean, you talk to anybody who knew him at Alabama, the guy is just like he could run for office there, and he's fantastic. He's great. And I'd like to get that guy in my building. I think you want to try to recreate the Russell Wilson thing with Pete Carroll. And Milroe, to me, is the guy that you do that with. And it is the biggest risk of the offseason. The Raiders have been very calculated, but you bring in a guy like Milroe when you have a starting quarterback already, that's a risk, but you have a chance to be set up for 15 years.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people don't like Jalen Milroe because his reputation of throwing. I do think that he had some really good passing games last year. That it kind of depends on some of the games that you watch. Like if you watch Georgia, I mean, you'd be okay with him passing the football. I mean, you watch him against Michigan in the bowl game, you'd be like, like
it's just not consistent. It's not consistent. Down to down. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then LSU, he didn't play that bad. Even the game, like one of his best games on film is the Vanderbilt game, which is funny, they lost that game, but it's like actually one of the best games on film throwing the ball. Yeah. So it's not that he can't. I mean, does he need work throwing the ball?
Yeah.
Yes.
He has a cannon too. Like he has the arm strength, which is there. It's like it's not like you're asking him to develop arm strength. For a lot of these guys, you're asking them to develop arm strength, and that just you can't really do that. He's got the tools. I mean, the guy is a specimen. I know he's not the tallest guy in the world, but I would, the second round, like I said, it's a big risk because I could also see if they went, Travion Henderson second round, I think that's better for the Raiders right now. But if John Spytek wants to be the GM for the Raiders for 20 years, I bet he picks Jalen Milroe.
Yeah,
that's a pick you make when you want to be at a team for 20 years and be like Ozzie Newsome and Howie Roseman, these type of guys.
I don't know. To be honest, why I would like them to take Milroe because I just have so much faith in Greg Olsen.
It's a good and that's a great point. You're bringing him into the best Raiders ecosystem that you've had in a long time.
Greg Olsen,
right? Greg Olsen, Chip Kelly, who's got great success at both levels in terms of offense. He's succeeded offensively in the NFL and succeeded offensively at the college ranks, and you would understand kind of the transition period, you would think. And then you have Greg Olsen, who's a very, very respected quarterback coach. And you have Pete Carroll, who's just a player's coach. You'd have a really good place to let him sit and learn with really no rush, no rush. You could even keep Aiden O'Connell. They give you the three quarterbacks. Now you keep Aiden O'Connell as your backup and just go, look, we're not playing Jalen Milroe as a traditional backup this year. Yeah. I think Geno's going to be here. If it works out well, I think Geno's got 5 years with the Raiders. If it works out really well. Now with Milroe, you have a chance to kind of offset that a little bit and just maybe cut that down to 4 because you got this stud waiting in the wing. You know what I mean? Let Geno go a little early, but that's thinking big. But that's a big move for Spytek to be like, I want to be here forever. And if I hit on bringing in Geno Smith and drafting Jalen Milroe, I will be here forever. They will name streets in Vegas after me. They'll name streets in Oakland after me still. People will love me. It's just like that's the pick you make.
And I think people, the big thing they sleep on Jalen Monroe is that he is such a dynamic runner.
It looks like a different.
You can win with that no matter what. I don't care. I mean, Tyrod Taylor used to make the playoffs because if he's running quarterbacks, they make the playoffs. They win. Maybe they don't win like long term, but come on, bro. Like
they run into brick walls at times. Like when you face a team that knows what to do, you're like, ah, crap. You know what I mean? But you face a lot of teams that don't know what to do, and it's a track meet.
Yeah, but no, just see, the thing is, Justin Fields is different because he has an elongated delivery that it does not work in the NFL. That's his biggest problem. It's not like Moreau. And the Steelers are 4-2 with Justin Fields. He's got $20 million.
That's what I was saying. I was like, to be honest, I think the Jets made a nice move.
The Steelers would have made the playoffs with Justin Fields.
I think so. I mean, look, they tore our ass. They tore our ass up last year, and the Bears, and then they got against the Bears when he was on the Bears. They did. So I don't hate Justin Fields.
Yeah, I hate Justin. Whatever. All right. Last one, and I see somebody said some of these guys might go in the second round, but so Malachi Moore and Carson Schlesinger at 68. And I know some people are saying he's going top 40, but
yeah, we won't have to coordinate this one. I think you'll be one side, I'll be the other on the defense. Yeah, I'll go Schlesinger. I haven't watched a lot of Moore yet. That's just a caveat. So I like Schlesinger. Again, I think he's going to go a little higher than this, but it's not out of the realm to say he'd be there at 68. Beast gets in the backfield. Fast, just plays angry, doesn't look like an angry guy. You look at the guy, he looks very peaceful, but he's not. He'll tear you up, and I would imagine Chip Kelly's got some intel on him for sure. And he I think he's really what this team needs right now. Again, I think it's a really good linebacker class. So there's a lot of ways they could go. We're not even talking about Barrett Carter out of Clemson. I mean, there's a lot of really good linebackers in this class. I think it's one of the top positions in the draft class that a lot of people aren't talking about. But Schlesinger is, I mean, you see the C on his chest. He'd be a captain. This team is starving for a captain on defense, or at least a green dot kind of captain. I think this is a guy that you make into that. And I love, he just gets into the backfield and so much. Everyone talks about how much of a passing league it is. It's a short passing league, if you haven't realized. And you got to be able to come up and make plays. And that's what he does.
Yeah. I like Schlesinger a lot too. He's a really good player. That's somebody. That's why I think that he probably won't be there now that I think about it. But he's also a linebacker. So this linebackers.
No, he could be there. He could be there. 100. Fred Warner went in the third round, by the way. The Raiders passed on it for Brandon Parker, but I don't want to bring up old trauma. But anyway, he was there in the third round. Yeah.
Malachi Moore is a good guy to get at 68 though, because one thing I like about Malachi Moore is he is a slot. He's a slot corner.
Yeah,
he's what he is.
Yeah,
he's kind of like a mini Minka Fitzpatrick. How Minka played slot at Alabama, but you could move him to safety and he could roam. He tackles pretty well. So it could be somebody that, they want to fill that slot position, that they could bring him in and have him play slot cornerback, because, it didn't work out for Minka Fitzpatrick in the NFL playing slot cornerback. Like, he had to move to safety, right?
Right.
I think you could probably do a little bit with Malachi Moore. So I think he's like a baby Minka Fitzpatrick, basically.
Right.
But he was heralded as a slot cornerback going into the season, and then he played free safety, but he still can guard people in the slot. He can still be very versatile. So I think that's a good pick at 68. But I just think that linebacker would be a bigger fill. So they probably would go Carson if they ever did this, especially since Chip Kelly probably recruited him. Yeah. I bet he did. So
I mean, he had to have. I mean, the guy's I think it was a junior this year, right? Like, so Chip Kelly's only been at Ohio State for a year, so that's what I mean. He's got to have some intel on him. So, I mean, I have a feeling Schlesinger is a Raider. For some reason, I think they're going to take him. Like, I just feels like he's a Raider. I don't know, but
yeah.
Like, if they might take him at 37. Like, what I mean is they might take him at 37, and people will go, whoa, but like, he's a good player.
Yeah. I mean, that's why you talked about Jihad Campbell going 6 because linebacker is just a little empty right now. So
Yeah, and if you then you say they get Christian Ellis on Monday, right?
yeah,
And then you have a Landon Roberts and Carson Schlesinger. You have Roberts being the alpha leader guy, right? Ellis being the guy who's been in the league for a little bit, fought as an undrafted free agent. Philly played pretty well for the Patriots, and then you have Schlesinger coming in. Like that actually becomes a pretty fun position group.
yeah, I agree with that. All right, Jalen Noel or Devin Neal? Where are you going, Glenn? Where are you going?
Oh, Devin Neal, without question. I like Jalen Noel. He's very good. But to me, I think Devin Neal is just he's a really skilled and he's young, man. He's young. He's what, 21 or something? Like this guy, he's young. I watched him a lot. I was at this bar watching Colorado versus Kansas. That Colorado tape he has is just like, man, put it like you could hang that in a French art gallery from like the Renaissance. I mean, it's just fantastic. He's a very smart. He looks like a 24-year-old college running back. Like he's just really smart in the
Yeah.
way that he plays. I think this guy can. I think this guy's a beast. I think he's a starter. If you're mad about losing Josh Jacobs, go get him again. He plays at Kansas, right? Or he was playing at Kansas for the last couple of years. I actually think his long speed is slightly better than Jacobs. I don't think he has quite the nasty physicality the way Jacobs does. I think his long speed is just slightly better. And I'm a huge fan. It says it's a 4.6. Look, that's
so is
why
Josh Jacobs.
and guess what? That's why he's there at 68. So like he's there at 68. I think Caleb Johnson's going to drop a little bit too for the same reason. He ran a 4.55. He ran a 4.55. Neal's got that. What is he, about 5'10", 5'11"? So I like that it's a little more compact. I'm a huge Devin Neal fan. So to me, it's no brainer.
Yeah, him and Josh Jacobs have the same profile, like literally. Like it's like almost identical.
Just the cuts, the cut, like the natural run. You like watch it and it looks like an ice skater, man. You're like, this is crazy.
Yeah, he reminds me of Josh Jacobs a lot. And then seeing him run the 4.6 and be like 5'10", 220 pounds, runs a 4.6 with that, the way that he could, change directions and make people miss, like is the ultimate comp for me is Josh Jacobs for Devin Neal. Jalen Noel, though. Jalen Noel, sorry. He wanted to make sure everybody says Noel. Jalen Noel. Okay.
It's not like the Christmas Carol. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Jalen Noel. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna go him here just because I already took a running back, Trayvon Henderson, but also I'm gonna go him just because I think that he is a really underrated receiver in this draft. I think people are starting to get higher on him, but he's exactly what the Raiders want, which is a slot receiver that can win deep, that could win on every single level. You can maybe move him outside a little bit, around, but I think wide receivers in this draft are going to get pushed down a little bit because the class isn't that good. So I think this is a guy that could end up falling to you at 68, just because this is going to be like a wide receiver draft. Is like, what do I like? What's my flavor? But he might end up being one of those guys, and kind of like how Ladd McConkey went where he went, and he might go that kind of that same area. But I think that he could be there at this point, just because, like I said, these wide receivers are going to get pushed down, just because these defensive guys are going to get taken like crazy all over the second round. It's going to be like all corners and defensive tackles and linebackers in the second round. I think just because it's such a defensive draft, that we're going to see some of these wide receivers get pushed down a little bit. And I think that's why he might end up being here at the third round.
Yeah. No, I mean, I both these guys I could see being there, to be honest. Like I could see there being a huge gap on wide receiver where people take McMillan and Golden early, and I think a lot of teams are just going to lay back. I don't think people are going to rush and sprint for a Jaden. I like Jaden Higgins a lot, and I could even see Jaden Higgins being there in the third round. He's kind of like diet McMillan, in a way, like where you just great value, or like grocery outlet, kind of the big one that you can't, when the money's tight, you get Jaden Higgins. But Noel, look, I think they're going to bring in a Tyler Lockett, but also Tyler Lockett's older. So you're going to want a guy in the slot that can kind of develop. And it'll be interesting to see what they do at slot receiver, because Myers might play slot this year.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about that. Myers might be the Raiders slot receiver this year because Tucker's an outside receiver. So if you were to have, if they bring in like an Amari Cooper or Stephon Diggs or whatever, somebody that you play outside, you can just have Myers be your slot receiver. So it'll be really interesting what they do at slot. Because why not just sign Lockett now if you wanted him so bad? I feel like that's a guy Pete would have snatched right away if he wanted him.
Exactly. I was going to say something here important here. Yeah, this is a point I was going to make about slot receiver, right? A sneaky pick at 37 is Emeka Egbuka.
If he's there, I mean, to me, he might be. I think all those playoff teams that are 22 to 30, I mean, that's a guy you bring in right away when you're. He's a guy I see going first round. He's the guy I think gets the inflation pricing going up. But yeah. I mean, there we'll see because I could see teams like Ravens, teams like the Chiefs, like all these teams like they're not really in a position to be passed. Rams, you're not really in a position to be passing up on Egbuka like that. That's a perfect guy for their team.
I just feel like these wide receivers they're going to get dropped a little bit. Like,
yeah, I think it makes the top three guys go faster, and then there's a gap.
Yeah, you got a point.
I don't know.
Because there's Luther Burden too could be there at 37.
Yeah, I always forget about him.
Right.
He's a true slot too, right? Like he can, or can be a true. I think he projects. He's 5'11" and is really shifty and good in route running. Yeah, he's another one.
I think he had a slow 40 time, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't think nobody's talking about him right now. So, he would, in 2023, I was big on Missouri. They had Membu, Brady Cook, and him. And I was like, this is a good team. And then they shit the bed last year.
No, 441 is good enough at 206 pounds. That's good. So I'm wrong about that. But it's interesting that he is falling. He was supposed to be a top 10 guy, and he could end up being, there at
442 is not bad.
Yeah,
442 is not bad at all.
Yeah. Not at all. All right. Torrey Horton, Colorado State fan here.
People. He has a little hive. I haven't watched him, but there's a Torrey Horton hive for sure.
Yeah. Malachi Starks got a second visit. Okay.
He is a sneaky trade back in the first round. I hope not at 6 because I don't see Hall of Fame upside in him, but like. If they trade back to like 13 or 14 and they take Starks, that was my pick the last time we talked. So I wouldn't be mad about it.
Yeah. This is gonna say, what did Cooper do with the MVP QB last year? I'll tell you, my brother yelling at the screen, throw it to Cooper, he's open.
Yeah, it's interesting. When he got traded,
why is Cooper not in the game? That's all my brothers.
Trading for wide receivers is weird, right? Though, like trading for wide receivers, it's like you didn't have the offseason to get like timing down or anything. Yeah. Like I honestly thought the Bills should have brought him back. Like I kind of thought the Bills should have just run it back. Maybe it didn't work. Cooper is interesting, right? I remember being at a sports bar. When I was at a sports bar when they drafted Amari Cooper over Leonard Williams, I was with a USC fan, my buddy. Shout out to my guy. But we were at a sports bar and they drafted Cooper. I wanted Cooper. He wanted Leonard Williams. And he was an SC guy. And I said, man, I wanted Cooper. And you watched Cooper the minute I was like, man, but at the catch point, he just isn't that good at the catch point. Like it's just not like when there's a good corner on him, he disappears. We saw Pac-Man Jones his first game shove his head almost to the center of the earth. Just like dogged him. And he had a book club, and John Gruden was like, there will be no book clubs on the Raiders.
like to play chess.
Yeah, you get out of here. Where like he would dress like Erykah Badu, like bandanas and stuff. And so he, that being said, I like getting him at like he's not the 4th overall pick anymore, but he gets open because he's always been a fantastic route runner.
Yeah.
And that doesn't leave you. And to me, I think it's a low risk. I think you can get him for like $8 million right now. And I'd do it.
Yeah. I still think Coop's good, but because like I said, you watch the film of the Bills games, he's still getting open. I don't know why they didn't play him, but I could see him just hating Buffalo. That's what Amari Cooper would. He would let it know. He would like let you know, like verbally, just by his body language. He would let you know that he doesn't want to be there.
Does he look like he put on some weight too? Like he looks like I cannot recognize him. on the
Yeah.
Bills. Like when I saw him, I was like, oh, that's Amari Cooper. I know he's wearing number 18. It looked a little different, but like he looked like he like kind of got like he almost not like out of shape. I don't want to like say that or anything, but he looked like he was like kind of looks like he put on some weight or something. Like to me, I'd love to get him at like a 1 year, $8 million deal and get him playing on like a contract year. I'd love. I have a feeling that'd be real good with Geno Smith. I like him more than Stephon Diggs right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you won't play for $8 million, who's giving it? Who's giving him 10? I mean, nobody.
That's why I think a lot of these wide receivers aren't signed because Cooper
Yeah.
Kupp got 15. They're like, dog, Cooper Kupp hasn't played like 2 years. I at least played last year. I at least had 1,300 yards like 2 years ago.
I would go up to 10 or 11 for Amari for 1 year. I would do 1 year. The Raiders have a bunch of money right now to do it, so I would do it.
Yeah. Why not tell me? People love this Tony Eckberg. Campbell have surgery? I don't know. I don't know if that really matters that much of these guys, but yeah, man. All right, I think that's it for today's show. We got over 600 in here today.
That's nice,
so
man.
Definitely had a good episode. A lot of questions. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Definitely, like I said, we're gonna keep doing draft stuff. We do doing Ashton, Jeanty, and I think it's Alfred Collins we're doing this week.
Wow.
So we're doing that this weekend, and then we're good to keep looking at these guys and like look at all the draft stuff that we dropped, free agency, all that stuff, that film. Like I said, if you remember, I got Ashton, Jeanty versus Oregon every single carry. Mm-hmm. So check that out. Like every single touch, every single carry, some blocking in there. Got all that. So check that out. I just dropped that. And yeah, guys, just hope you guys enjoy this episode, and we're out of here. Peace.
All right.